You hear it on the news. Politicians talk about it. But what exactly a recession? In the simplest terms, it's when the economy shrinks for a while. Imagine a pie, but instead of growing bigger, it starts to get smaller. That's a recession, and it's not very tasty. Technically, experts say a recession is when the economy shrinks for 2 quarters in a row. This shrinking is measured by something called the gross domestic product, but you can just think of it as how much money the country is making. If it's making less money, that's a problem. So what causes this economic pie to shrink? Well, it's rarely just one thing. It's more like a recipe for disaster. Sometimes it's a sudden shock to the system, like a pandemic that shuts down businesses. Other times it's like slowly adding too much salt to a dish. High interest rates, for example, can make it expensive for people to borrow money, which slows down spending. And sometimes it's just a loss of confidence. If people are worried about the future, they're less likely to spend money, and that can also trigger a recession. Just like you don't wake up one morning with a full-blown cold, there are usually subtle signs that something is off before it hits you hard. Recessions don't just appear out of nowhere, they build up over time, often starting with small, almost imperceptible changes in the economy. There are usually warning signs. These signs can be found in various economic indicators that, when pieced together, paint a picture of an economy in distress. One of the biggest red flags is rising unemployment. When companies start to struggle, they often cut jobs to save money, leading to higher unemployment rates. If businesses aren't doing well, they start laying people off, and that's a sign that the economy is in trouble. Empty office spaces and business closures are clear indicators. Another sign is when people start tightening their belts. Families begin to save more and spend less, cutting back on non-essential expenses. If you see fewer people at the mall or buying new cars, that means consumer spending is down, which is bad news for the economy. Reduced consumer spending can lead to a vicious cycle of economic decline. Keep an eye on the stock market too. While it's not always a perfect indicator, it can provide valuable insights into investor sentiment and economic health. It's not always a perfect indicator, but a big drop in the stock market can be a sign that investors are worried about the future. When investors lose confidence, it can trigger a broader economic downturn. By paying attention to these signs and staying informed, you can better prepare for a potential recession. Knowledge is power, and being aware of the economic landscape can help you make more informed decisions. Section 4. Recession's ripple effect, from jobs to your wallet. Recessions don't just affect Wall Street, they affect Main Street too. The impact is felt by everyday people going about their daily lives. Small businesses, which are the backbone of many communities, often struggle to stay afloat during these tough times. When the economy shrinks, businesses hurt, and that means job losses. Companies may be forced to downsize or even close their doors, leaving many without a source of income. This can lead to increased unemployment rates and financial instability for families. People who lose their jobs have less money to spend, which further weakens the economy. It's a vicious cycle. Families have to tighten their budgets, cutting back on non-essential expenses, which in turn affects other businesses. Recessions can also impact your investments. The stock market often takes a hit, causing the value of your investments to drop. This can be particularly concerning for those nearing retirement or relying on their investments for income. If you're invested in the stock market, you might see your portfolio value decline. It's important to stay informed and consider seeking advice from a financial advisor to navigate these turbulent times. And if you're thinking about buying a house or a car, you might want to wait. During a recession, credit can become tighter, making loans harder to get. Interest rates might fluctuate, adding another layer of uncertainty to big financial decisions. Prices usually go down during a recession, as businesses try to attract customers. This can be a good time to find deals, but it's also a sign of the broader economic struggles. Consumers should weigh their options carefully and consider the long-term implications of their purchases. Section 5. Riding the economic roller coaster. Recessions don't last forever. Recessions are tough, there's no doubt about it. They bring about uncertainty, stress, and financial strain for many individuals and businesses. The sight of empty storefronts and worried faces is all too common during these times, but it's important to remember that they're a normal part of the economic cycle. Just as the seasons change and time moves forward, so does the economy. It goes through phases of growth and contraction, much like the natural rhythms of life. Just like a roller coaster has its ups and downs, so does the economy. The thrill of the highs and the anxiety of the lows are all part of the ride. It's a dynamic system that constantly adjusts and readjusts. What goes down must eventually come up. The dawn always follows the darkest night, and similarly, economic downturns are followed by periods of recovery and growth. It's a cycle that has repeated throughout history. Governments and central banks use various tools to try and soften the blow of a recession and get the economy back on track. They hold meetings, strategize, and implement policies aimed at stabilizing the economy. These tools might include things like lowering interest rates or increasing government spending. Infrastructure projects, tax cuts, and financial aid packages are just a few examples of measures taken to stimulate economic activity. It takes time, but eventually the economy recovers, jobs return, and the pie starts growing again. People get back to work, businesses reopen, and marketplaces buzz with activity once more. The resilience of the economy is a testament to its ability to bounce back from adversity.